Welcome to the channel Darkness in the Night. The entire story you are about to hear is fictional, inspired by whispered urban legends, and is not intended to attack, imply, or refer to any real individual, organization, or business. I took a job as a night shift security guard at an old provincial hospital on the outskirts of town. The place was built during the French colonial era. Its yellow walls were peeling in patches. And from a distance at night, it looked exactly like a gigantic corpse lying motionless in the middle of a dark field. People jokingly called it the hospital that sleeps and never wakes. The first story comes from Vietnam. The elevator floor that does not exist. My first shift began at 11 p.m. A light rain was falling, not heavy enough to drown out sounds, but just enough to leave everything damp and foul-smelling. The raincoat hanging in the guardroom gave off a stench of plastic mixed with old sweat. Sharp and metallic, like rusted iron. I sat alone in the security office, facing a black and white surveillance monitor. The hallway stretched endlessly ahead. The fluorescent lights flickered, and every time they blinked, they made a faint click, like someone snapping their fingers in the darkness. Just before midnight, a night shift nurse stopped by and placed a folder of documents on my desk. "You're new here, right?" she asked, her voice tired, her eyes darting briefly toward the hallway behind me. "Yes, I just started," I replied, forcing an awkward smile. "Then remember one thing." She lowered her voice and leaned in slightly. "After midnight, don't take the elevator alone." I froze, then laughed softly. "Come on, you're just trying to scare me, right?" "I'm not." Her expression hardened, her voice dropping even lower. "It's an unspoken rule." With that, she turned and walked away quickly, not giving me a chance to ask another question. I remained seated, feeling a strange heaviness in my chest. But I tried to reassure myself that it was just superstition, something people on night duty came up with over time. At exactly 12:07 a.m., I received a call telling me to go down to the ground floor to pick up the shift handover report. The stairwell was dark, long, and slippery from the rain, so I decided to take the elevator instead. The elevator in this hospital was extremely old. The metal doors were scratched and dented, the floor panel peeling so badly that many of the buttons were faded beyond recognition. Inside, the air was heavy with dampness, like old clothes locked away in a sealed wardrobe for years, mixed with the sharp scent of disinfectant. I pressed the button for the ground floor. Beep. The dry sound echoed inside the narrow space. The doors closed slowly, grinding with a harsh RRR as metal scraped against metal. As the elevator began to descend, the light inside flickered once. Just once, but it was enough to send a chill through me. In that instant, I felt it clearly, as if someone were standing right behind my back. The smell inside the elevator changed. It was no longer just dampness. There was a faint metallic odor now, like dried blood. I turned around. There was no one there. The elevator stopped at the ground floor and the doors opened. I let out a breath of relief and stepped out. After collecting the handover report, I returned to the elevator to go back up to the third floor, where the security office was. That was when I finally looked closely at the control panel. Between floor 12 and the empty space above it, there was a faded button. It wasn't clearly a number, more like a scratched symbol. But if you stared at it long enough, it looked like the number 13, deliberately rubbed out. My heart started pounding. I remembered what the nurse had said, after midnight. Don't take the elevator alone. I checked my watch. 12:13 a.m. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but the stupid, reckless curiosity won. I reached out and touched the button. My fingertip was ice cold. Beep. The sound was very soft, almost like a whisper. The elevator didn't go up. It didn't go down. It stayed still for a few seconds. Then, the lights went out. Total darkness swallowed everything. For the first few seconds, all I could hear was my own heartbeat, pounding violently in my ears. Then, in the darkness, I heard a very faint click. Like a door opening. The air inside the elevator turned cold. The metallic smell grew stronger, heavier. The lights flickered back on. And now, I was no longer alone. Someone was standing beside me. Very close. My shoulder was almost touching her arm. A young woman in an old-style nurse's uniform. The white fabric had yellowed with age. No name badge. Long black hair tied low at the nape of her neck. Her skin was unnaturally pale, like someone who had suffered from severe anemia for a long time. She turned and looked at me. Her eyes were sunken, pitch black, reflecting no light at all. "Which ward are you on duty for?" she asked. Her voice was flat, cold, and barely above a whisper. I stood frozen. My throat went dry, cold sweat trickling down my spine. "The third floor," I stammered, lips trembling. She was silent for a few seconds. The elevator began moving, but the floor display showed nothing, only a strange symbol, like a number that had been erased. "Third floor," she repeated, the corner of her lips lifting slightly. Is there a problem?" I asked, my heart racing. "That area has been closed for a long time." A wave of ice ran down my spine. "What? But I'm still on duty there." "There's no one on duty there anymore." Her eyes never left mine. "Then, where are you going?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Back to my old ward." The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Outside was not the third floor. It was a long, dark corridor. Red emergency lights flickered weakly, like fire alarms. The walls were stained with black scorch marks. The ceiling peeling. The stench of burning mixed with that metallic smell, so strong it made my stomach churn. I looked at the nurse. Where is this?" My voice shook, my throat tightening. She stepped out. Her figure faded into the red light. "The night duty ward." Just before the elevator doors closed, I heard one last sentence, extremely soft, like a whisper right beside my ear. "Go home early, or your name will be on the list by morning." Click. The doors shut. The elevator jerked violently, then started going up. I collapsed onto the floor, my heart pounding, my head spinning. When the elevator opened again, I was truly on the third floor. The hallway was pale white, silent, as if nothing had ever happened. But inside my pocket, there was a small piece of paper. Written on it in faint red ink. "Night shift, Old Ward 013. And the thing that chilled me the most. From that moment on, every single night, I hear the elevator stop outside my room. Even though this hospital's only elevator, located in the rear building, has been sealed off for 20 years. From that night on, I could no longer sleep through a full night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard a faint RRR sound, like metal grinding against metal, followed by the familiar ding. It wasn't loud, but it was so distinct that I could tell it apart from every other sound in the hospital. It wasn't the ventilation, not the air conditioning, and definitely not medical equipment. It was exactly the sound of the old elevator I had stepped into at 013. Each time it happened, the air around me carried a faint metallic odor, mixed with the burnt plastic smell. It wasn't overpowering, but it was enough to make my stomach tighten, as if my body sensed something that didn't belong to this world. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just psychological stress. But the harder I tried to forget, the clearer everything became. On the third night, while sitting at the security desk watching the camera monitors, I noticed something strange. Camera number 7, the one covering the rear building, had been locked out for years. On the system, It always showed a black screen with the words, "No signal." But that night, it turned on. There was no clear image. Just a blurry, dark red frame, like emergency lights shining through heavy smoke. I squinted at the screen. Inside the frame was a very long corridor. The walls were scorched black. Red lights flickered weakly. And at the end of the hallway, a figure stood with their back to the camera. My scalp tingled. I zoomed in. The figure was wearing a nurse's uniform. Exactly like the girl in the elevator. I swallowed hard, my heart racing. My fingers shook so badly I almost pressed the wrong button on the control panel. This can't be. My voice was hoarse, barely audible. At that exact moment, the feed from camera 7 distorted violently, shook, then went completely black again. The words, "No signal," reappeared. Right then, I heard a knock on the security room door. Knock, knock? Very soft, but enough to make me jump. I stood up, gripping my baton tightly. Outside was the third-floor hallway. At this hour, no one should have been there. The lights were still bright white, but the air had suddenly turned cold. I opened the door slightly. No one was there. But on the floor, right in front of the guardroom, lay a small piece of paper. I bent down to pick it up. The paper was old, slightly damp, with burnt edges. Written on it was a single line. "Night duty ward, understaffed." I stood frozen, feeling as if someone had just breathed very softly right behind me. Is anyone there?" My voice trembled, my throat dry. No answer. Only the faint metallic smell lingering in the air. The next morning, I went straight to the records office. I couldn't keep working like this. I needed to know what the old ward was, and who Nurse B really was. The records office was at the end of the first-floor corridor, where the lighting was noticeably dimmer than the rest of the hospital. An older woman with graying hair sat inside, sorting through files. I stood in front of her desk, hesitated for a few seconds, then spoke. "Ma'am, may I ask you something?" I said quietly, trying to stay calm. "What is it? Did this hospital ever have a fire in the inpatient ward?" She froze. The file in her hand stopped mid-page. "Who told you that?" A strange look flashed in her eyes. I heard people talking. "No." Her voice was firm. "But I saw something on the camera system. There's a rear building. That area is just an old storage building. It's been closed for a long time." I swallowed. "Then, was there ever a nurse named Ba?" "Ba?" She frowned, thinking for a few seconds. "I don't remember. This hospital has changed staff many times." I looked straight at her. "Have you ever worked night shifts here?" She was silent for a long time, so long that I could clearly hear my own heartbeat. "Yes," she finally said, her voice lower. "Then, have you ever heard of the night duty ward?" I asked softly. She placed the files down and looked at me carefully. Her expression was no longer indifferent, it was genuine concern. "Did you take the elevator after midnight?" "Yes," I nodded, my heart pounding. She let out a long breath, as if confirming something she already knew. "Then your name has already been written down." A chill ran through me. "Written down? What do you mean? Haven't you noticed anything unusual?" Her voice was deep, her gaze complicated. "I've noticed a lot. People who can see are usually no longer just outsiders." My throat tightened. "Do you know Nurse Ba?" I whispered. She didn't answer right away. She just looked at me, for a long time. "Long ago, there was a night shift nurse named Ba," she said slowly, like recalling an ancient story. "And then? The night of the fire. The power was cut, and the inpatient ward doors were locked. She stayed behind to lead patients out." "Did anyone make it?" I asked, my heart racing. "No." The air in the records room suddenly felt heavy. The next morning, they only found part of a burned hallway. No bodies, no records, no names left on the staff list. So, did they all die? No one dared to write "dead," she replied hoarsely. Because no bodies were ever found. I remembered the red-lit corridor in the elevator, the scorched walls, the burning smell. Then, what is the night duty ward? My voice weakened. It's where those who never got out continue their duty. My hands went ice cold. And, if my name has been written? Then you've become the next shift. I shook my head repeatedly. No, I'm still alive. I'm right here. Are you sure? She asked, staring straight into me. That question left me speechless. That night, I was assigned to work alone. Even though I was terrified, I didn't dare ask for leave. Partly because I needed the money, and partly because I wanted to see the truth for myself. I needed to know whether the night duty ward really existed. Exactly at midnight, the elevator sounded. Not in the rear building, but at the very end of the third-floor hallway. I stood inside the guard room, my heart pounding wildly. Outside, where there should have been only a stairwell, the unmistakable RRR, RRR, echoed clearly. The elevator doors opened. Pale white light spilled into the hallway. And inside, it wasn't just Nurse Ba. There were many people standing within. They wore all kinds of clothing: patients, nurses, guards, students. All of them had gray, ashen skin, sunken eyes, and scorched burn marks across their bodies. At the front, Nurse Ba stood with her back to them. She looked at me. It's your turn to be on duty. I stepped back, my legs going weak. I'm not ready, I stammered. You don't need to be. Her empty eyes stared at me. This ward has no days off. And then I heard, right behind me, a very soft voice, very close. You're standing in the wrong place. I spun around. Behind me stood someone who looked exactly like me. From the face to the voice. I stood frozen when I saw myself standing right behind me. The face was identical, impossible to tell apart. The same dark circles under the eyes from night shifts. The same messy hair. The same security uniform worn thin at the collar. There was only one difference: the eyes. Deeper set, darker, and completely devoid of light. The air around me turned icy. The metallic stench growing stronger. Like blood mixed with burnt residue. You're standing in the wrong place, it said. The voice sounded exactly like mine, but lower and drier, its eyes never blinking. I took a step back, my spine hitting the duty desk. Why you? Who are you? My voice shook, my throat locked tight. I am you, it replied calmly, chillingly so. That's impossible. I shook my head over and over, my heart racing. You're the one who can't stay here anymore. Soft footsteps echoed from ahead. Nurse Ba was still standing inside the elevator. Behind her were dozens of scorched figures, all staring at me. No one spoke, but their gaze made me feel as if I were being slowly pulled out of reality. What are you hesitating for? Nurse Ba's voice rang out, flat and cold. I don't understand what's happening. My voice broke, my eyes burning. You've finished the shift of the living. But I'm still breathing. My hands trembled violently. Breathing doesn't mean you still belong here. I turned to look at my double. It stood very close enough for me to smell the burnt odor coming from it. Then what are you? I asked, almost pleading. I'm the previous shift, it answered, its eyes empty. The previous shift, what does that mean? The one who stood here before you did. My head spun. So, you're dead? My voice dropped. Dead or not, doesn't matter anymore. It said slowly. What matters is, someone replaced me. At that moment, whispers rose behind Nurse Ba. Not one voice, but many overlapping, distorted, Fragmented. Do your duty. It's your turn. Don't leave us understaffed. I covered my ears, my head splitting as if something were clawing inside. I don't want to. I nearly screamed. I still have family. I still have a life. Everyone who comes here says that, Nurse Ba said quietly, a trace of sadness passing through her eyes. But this ward has never had enough staff. I remembered what the records clerk had said, you've become the next shift. I remembered the slip of paper in my pocket. Night shift, old ward 013. I looked down at my hands. My skin was turning pale. My fingertips were so cold I could barely feel them. If I go with you, my voice trembled. Then what? The living will continue to live, she answered softly. And you will continue your duty. I turned to my double. Then, why are you standing here? I asked weakly. So you can leave, it replied. If you don't go, I'll never be able to leave this place. That sentence caught in my chest. For the first time, I saw something in its eyes, not just emptiness, but something that looked like exhaustion. You were scared too, weren't you? I asked hoarsely. Very scared, it nodded faintly. But after a while, I forgot what that felt like. Inside the elevator, the figures began to blur, as if swallowed by smoke. The pale white lights flickered rapidly. Clicking tick, tick. You don't have much time, Nurse Ba said evenly. Either you go down, or you stay, but you won't be the same person anymore. I closed my eyes. Images flooded my mind, my family, my friends, the cramped rented room, the ordinary mornings I used to resent. All of it suddenly felt unbearably precious. I opened my eyes. Yes, my voice shook but was clear. I don't want to become the next shift. The entire hallway fell silent. My double's eyes widened. What did you say? Its voice faltered, emotion surfacing for the first time. I'm not going, I said slowly, word by word. If someone has to stay on duty, it won't be me. I looked straight at it. You belong to this ward. My voice trembled but held firm. I don't. It stepped back. Its face began to warp, stretching unnaturally. No, that's not right, its voice cracked. Its body shaking. I already did my shift. I deserve to leave. Nurse Ba turned to look at it. For the first time, she changed her gaze. She no longer looked at me, but at it. Your shift, her voice was deep and cold. Ended a long time ago. You just forgot. The elevator shook violently. The figures inside suddenly grabbed my double. Pulling it back, it screamed, its voice exactly like mine, but twisted and drawn out. No, panic flooded its voice, arms flailing. It's your turn. It stared at me desperately. I don't want to do this anymore. I stood still, my heart pounding, tears spilling down my face. I'm sorry, I whispered hoarsely. The elevator doors slammed shut. The scream was cut off. Bang! Everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the floor of the security room. The fluorescent lights were on as usual. The black and white monitors showed nothing unusual. Camera number 7 was gone. The metallic smell had vanished. Only the familiar scent of disinfectant remained. I looked at the clock. 12:14 a.m. It was as if everything that had just happened lasted exactly 1 minute. The next morning, I submitted my resignation. No one tried to stop me. No one asked for a reason. But before leaving the hospital, I passed by the records room. The elderly clerk was organizing files. By chance, I caught sight of an old folder. On the cover, written in faded ink, were the words, "Night shift roster, old ward." The final line had just been crossed out. That name was exactly mine. And right beneath it, a new name had already been written. A medical student. Shift start time, 013. As I stepped out of the hospital gates, I clearly heard behind me the elevator chime. Dane. And that concludes the first of 5 urban legends. Now, let us move on to the second urban legend from Japan, known as the call from the dead. I had never believed in stories about the dead calling back. To me, they were nothing more than internet scare tales, entertaining for a moment, then easily forgotten. That was true, until the night I received a phone call from the exact number of someone who had been dead for over 3 months. It was a rainy night in Tokyo. The rain was light but relentless, tapping steadily against the window of my 6th-floor apartment, creating a drowsy rhythm. I had just shut down my computer and was about to go to bed when my phone vibrated. The screen lit up. A name appeared. My heart skipped a beat. It was the name of my closest friend, the one who had died in a subway accident 3 months ago. I sat motionless on the bed, staring at the screen as if it might explain itself. The phone vibrated again, longer, more urgent. I swallowed hard. Dozens of thoughts flashed through my mind. A system error, a recycled phone number, someone with the same name, anything, as long as it wasn't what I was actually thinking. I answered the call. Hello? My voice was hoarse, forcing calm. On the other end, there was only faint static, like a weak signal. Then a voice came through. Can you hear me? It was very soft, broken, as if coming from far away. My entire body went cold. That voice, there was no way I could mistake it. Who are you? I asked, my voice shaking, my heart racing. It's me. The voice grew quieter, almost strangled. Where are you? I tightened my grip on the phone. My throat burned. This isn't possible, I whispered, my hands trembling. You're dead. I couldn't finish the sentence. I'm not dead, the voice replied immediately, slightly rushed, slightly irritated. I'm just somewhere with bad reception. I let out a dry laugh, an involuntary reaction to the tension. Don't joke like this, my voice wavered. I went to your funeral. I know, the voice said, lowering. I saw it. A chill ran down my spine. Saw it? How? I whispered. I saw you standing next to the coffin. The voice said calmly. You looked really pale. The phone slipped from my hand onto the bed. My ears rang, my heart pounding painfully. I picked it back up, my palms slick with sweat. Where are you? I asked again, more urgently. I don't know. The voice faded. It's very dark here, very cold. I looked around my apartment. The lights were on. Rain still fell outside the window. Everything was terrifyingly normal. What are you talking about? My voice shook. Are you in a hospital? Or at a relative's place? No, the voice whispered. I'm somewhere without any lights. The static grew louder. The voice began to distort, stretching unnaturally. I can't see the way, it said weakly. Can you turn on the light for me? I jumped up from the bed. Turn on what light? I nearly shouted in panic. Where are you? How am I supposed to help you? On the other end, there was silence for a few seconds. Then the voice replied, very slowly. I'm standing right behind you. My entire body froze. I didn't dare turn around. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy, unnaturally cold. A faint musty smell appeared, like clothes left too long in a sealed room. Stop messing with me, my voice broke, on the verge of tears. I'm begging you. The phone made a soft click, like someone lightly touching the microphone. I'm not joking, the whisper said, very close. Can't you hear it? That was when I realized. Beyond the sound of the rain, beyond the sound of my own heartbeat, there was another sound in the room. Breathing. Very soft. Very close. Right behind my neck. I stood completely still, like a statue. I didn't dare turn around. A cold sensation ran straight down my spine. as if someone had placed a hand on each vertebra, squeezing lightly. The breathing behind my neck was uneven, sometimes close, sometimes distant, like someone who had been running for a long time. Lungs filled with water. Don't stand behind me," I said, my voice trembling, my throat tightening. "I'm not standing behind you," the voice on the phone replied softly. "I'm inside the phone." I stared at the screen. The signal was still there. The call timer was still running. But the breathing behind me did not disappear. "Then what is breathing?" My voice faltered, my legs going weak. "It's me." The voice on the phone grew deeper. "But not the me you used to know." I slowly turned around. The room was darker than before, as if the lights had been dimmed. The small apartment, white walls, an old wooden wardrobe, rain-streaked window was empty. No one stood behind me. But the musty smell was stronger. "Where are you?" I whispered, my eyes scanning the room. "I'm very close," the voice answered, its tone distorted, compressed. "So close that you're standing inside me." A wave of nausea surged up. I braced my hand on the table. The floor beneath me suddenly feeling slightly soft, no longer solid. "What are you talking about?" I asked urgently, my heart pounding. "I don't understand." On the other end, a faint laugh sounded, not a happy laugh, but a tired, hoarse one, like a throat full of water. I didn't understand either, it said evenly. Until I woke up, in the dark. I remembered the news from 3 months ago. The subway accident, a brake failure, 1 car derailed, 3 people died on the spot. He was one of them. The body had been recovered nearly 6 hours later, trapped between 2 cars, submerged in water. "Do you remember the moment of the accident?" I asked quietly. "Yes," the voice replied immediately. "I remember it very clearly." The air in the room suddenly turned icy, as if the window had been thrown wide open, though I was sure it was closed. "It was very dark," the voice said slowly. "No people, no light, only the sound of water filling my lungs." I shuddered, my chest felt heavy, my breathing labored. I tried to scream, it whispered, but my mouth was full of water. I tried to pound on the door, but my hands couldn't feel anything anymore. My own throat began to feel damp, as if I had just swallowed cold water. My breathing grew heavier. "What are you doing to me?" I cried out in panic, my back freezing cold. "I'm not doing anything," it replied calmly. "I'm just sharing." The phone screen began to blur. My reflection in the glass distorted. I saw my own face, but it looked like it was underwater, warped and rippling. "I can see your face," the voice echoed, as if from the bottom of a well. "It looks a lot like mine did back then." I started coughing violently. A sensation of water surged up my throat, salty and cold, even though I was standing in a dry room. "Stop it," I screamed, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "I don't want to hear this anymore." There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then it spoke, very softly. I said the same thing once. It sighed, exhausted. But no one listened. I staggered backward, my back hitting the wall. The floor now felt damp, colder than before. Beneath my feet, I heard a faint squelch, as if I were standing in a thin layer of water. I looked down. There was no water, but my feet were freezing, as if submerged in ice. "I'm not alone here," the voice on the phone said. "There are many people here." "Where?" I asked, trembling. "In that dark place?" "Yes," it replied. "None of us can find the way out." I heard faint whispers through the speaker. Not one voice, but many overlapping. Distorted, fragmented. "So cold. Can't breathe. Is anyone there?" I ripped the earphones out immediately. But the whispers remained inside my head. "What do you want?" I nearly cried, my eyes wild with fear. Just tell me what you want me to do." The voice was silent for a moment. Then it answered. "I don't want anything," it said slowly. "I just don't want to be here alone anymore." The air in the room thickened. The musty smell shifted into a faint metallic stench, like rust mixed with stagnant water. "You want me to die with you?" I asked hoarsely, my heart racing. "No," it replied, sounding hurried for the first time. "I want you to replace me." That sentence left me numb. "Replace you? What do you mean?" I whispered. "Someone has to stay," the voice said evenly. "So the other one can leave." I felt as if my lungs were filled with water. Every breath was a struggle. "I've been here for 3 months." His voice grew heavier. "I can't feel time anymore. But I know I'm about to fade." The phone screen began to vibrate faintly. My reflection in the glass grew blurrier, as if a layer of water were spreading over it. "You're the only one who can still hear me," he whispered. "That means you're very close to the boundary." I looked around the room. Thin streaks of water began to appear on the walls, slowly trickling downward, even though the ceiling was completely dry. "What if I refuse?" My voice was weak. "Then I'll stay here," he replied calmly. "And you will slowly start hearing all of us more and more." The whispers around me grew clearer. They were no longer just in my head, but seemed to seep out from the walls themselves. "Help! It's so dark. I can't breathe." I covered my ears. "Stop it," I screamed, nearly breaking down. "I can't take this anymore." On the other end of the line, his voice became very soft. I said the same thing once, right before my phone rang by itself. At that exact moment, the phone in my hand went dead. The call ended. The room fell silent. No more breathing, no more whispers. Only the sound of rain against the window. I collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air, cold sweat soaking through my shirt. I tried to reassure myself. It was all just hallucinations. Stress, old memories resurfacing, too much nonsense read online. But when I opened the call history, I saw a new entry. Incoming call 2:17 a.m. from a number that does not exist in the system. And right beneath it, a notification appeared. Next call scheduled. Time: 2:17 a.m. tomorrow. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the sound of water flowing inside my head. Not the rain outside the window, but a heavy, gurgling sound, like water slowly filling lungs. The cold sensation clung to my skin, even though I had wrapped myself tightly in a blanket. 2:10 a.m. I sat up suddenly, my heart pounding. The phone on the table vibrated lightly once, even though it wasn't time yet. The screen lit up. No incoming call. Only a faint line of text appeared against the black background. "Are you still awake?" I swallowed hard. My trembling finger touched the screen. "Don't message me anymore," I whispered, my throat burning dry. "I'm begging you." A new message appeared instantly. "I can't call by myself anymore. The signal here is really weak." My throat felt damp, as if I had just swallowed cold water. My tongue tingled uncomfortably. "Where are you?" I typed, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "I already told you," the reply came. "Somewhere without light." 2:16 a.m. The phone began vibrating lightly, continuously, even though no call was coming in. "It's almost time." A new message appeared. "This time, you should listen carefully." 2:17 a.m. The phone vibrated violently. Incoming call. From a number that does not exist. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and answered. Hello. My voice was hoarse, my heart pounding like a drum. On the other end, there was no static like before. Only silence. A silence so deep that I could hear my own heartbeat clearly. Then his voice came through, very close. "Where are you sitting?" he whispered, very slowly. I looked around the room. "On the bed," I replied weakly. "In my room. Do you see the walls?" His voice lowered. "Yes," I answered. "White walls." "Yeah," he gave a faint, exhausted chuckle. "It's all walls here too." I shuddered. "But the walls here never end." The air in the room began to grow heavy. My ears rang, like I was sinking underwater. The ceiling light flickered faintly. "I'm standing very close to you," he whispered. "But I can't step out." "Then what do you want me to do?" I almost begged. "You said I should replace you. What does that mean? What am I supposed to do?" There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then he spoke. "You just need to lend me some space." "Lend space?" My voice shook. "What space?" "Inside you," he replied calmly. "I just need to stay for a little while." My heart felt like it stopped. No, you can't." I shook my head repeatedly, panic flooding my voice. "I won't allow it. I don't need your permission." His voice dropped, turning cold. "I just need you to open." A sharp pain pierced my chest. My breathing grew heavier, every inhale feeling like water pouring into my lungs. I started coughing dryly, my throat burning. "Do you hear the water?" His voice echoed, distorted. "That's me, coming closer." I felt something moving inside my chest. Not pain, but cold. A deep, spreading cold, like water flowing through my veins. "Stop," I whispered weakly, my back trembling. "I can't breathe." I couldn't breathe either, he whispered. But eventually, I got used to it. I began to see strange images on the walls. Thin streams of water were flowing upward, as if gravity had reversed. The ceiling blurred, as though it were being covered by a layer of murky water. "I see it now," his voice rang out, excited for the first time. "You're opening up." I collapsed onto the bed, my hand letting go of the phone. My ears rang, and all I could hear was my own heartbeat slowing down. Images of the subway accident flooded my mind. Darkness, water, the feeling of being trapped. A space so tight it stole the air from my lungs. "You won't be here long." His voice echoed inside my head, not through the phone anymore. "You just need to help me get out. And I'll leave my place for you." I opened my eyes. I was standing in total darkness. No ceiling, no floor, only endless, blurry walls stretching in every direction, cold, wet, slippery. Around me were many people. Faint silhouettes, standing still, no faces, no eyes, just human shapes. All of them were facing the same direction, toward a tiny point of light, like the glow of a phone screen. "See?" his voice whispered beside me. Very close. "This is my place." I turned. He was standing there, exactly like me. But his face was pale, his eyes sunken, his hair soaked as if he had been submerged for a very long time. You're already out?" I whispered, my throat tightening. "Yeah," he nodded lightly. "Thanks to you." He stepped closer. "Don't worry," he said softly, his eyes complex. "At first, it'll be a little hard to breathe. After that, you'll get used to it." I realized I couldn't move my legs. Not because they were restrained, but because I no longer remembered how to move. "What about my body?" I asked, my voice shaking. "I'll take your place," he replied calmly. "I'll keep living your life." He smiled. The smile was exactly like mine. "You won't disappear," he whispered. "You're just switching signals." The small light suddenly went out. Everything went dark. I heard many voices around me. Another new one. "It's their turn. It's getting more crowded here." When I woke up, I was lying on the bed in my familiar rented room. Morning sunlight streamed through the window. The phone lay on the table, no missed calls, no messages. Everything was terrifyingly normal. I sat up, exhaled sharply, my heart racing. It was all just a nightmare. A dream that felt too real. I looked into the mirror in the bathroom. My face was clearly reflected. But my eyes were deeper set, my skin paler, and in my gaze, there was something very strange. The phone on the table vibrated. A new message. From an unknown number. Is it bright over there? I stared at the screen. My fingers typed a reply on their own, even though my mind was completely blank. Very bright, I whispered, barely recognizing my own voice. And somewhere, in a place without light, someone was holding a phone, watching my name appear on the screen. I stood in front of the mirror for a very long time. I don't know how many minutes passed. I only know that I stopped blinking. The reflection in the mirror didn't move, but what I felt inside was completely different. My heart was no longer racing. There was no panic, no fear, only emptiness. As if someone had drained all emotion out of me. I raised my hand and touched my chest. No pain, no cold, but I couldn't feel my own breathing. Are you okay? A very familiar voice whispered inside my head. Extremely softly. I flinched. Who? I whispered, my throat dry. It's me, the voice replied, very close. On the inside. I closed my eyes. And I saw him. Not with my eyes, but through a strange sensation. Like a memory rising from the depths of my mind. He stood in a dark space, surrounded by endless cold, wet walls, standing among hundreds of faceless shadows. You see it now, his voice echoed in my head. This place is quieter than I expected. Are you in my place now? I asked softly. Yes, he replied. And I'm in yours. I opened my eyes. The familiar rented room, morning sunlight, traffic noise outside, the smell of coffee from the neighboring apartment. Everything felt real. But I no longer felt like I belonged. Do you feel tired? His voice asked calmly. No, I answered. I feel light. He was silent for a few seconds. That's right, his voice lowered. After a while, you won't feel anything at all. I looked at my hands. My skin was paler, my fingertips slightly translucent, as if light could pass through them. Can I go back? I asked quietly. No, he answered immediately. But you won't disappear. I smiled faintly, a very strange smile. Then, what will I do? Live, he whispered. Live the rest of my life. That was when I understood. I was no longer the old me. I was just a shell, being filled by something else. Something that had once died in darkness. Drowned, suffocated. The phone in my hand vibrated lightly. A new message. From an unknown number. It's very dark here. I wasn't surprised. Not afraid. Not shaking. My fingers typed a reply instantly. Like a reflex. I'm used to it. And at that moment, many voices echoed inside my head. Overlapping. Another one. It's time. There's a signal now. I looked up at the ceiling. The light flickered faintly. For a brief moment, the ceiling seemed to be covered by a thin layer of water. Rippling slowly. I smiled. For the first time since that night. Because I knew. My phone would never stop ringing again. You have just finished listening to the second story. The Call from the Dead. This is a fictional urban legend, inspired by oral folklore, and is not intended to attack, imply, or offend any individual, organization, or country. Thank you for staying with the channel until this moment. See you again in episode 2, where I will continue with 3 more urban legends from 3 other countries. Here on Darkness in the Night. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Goodbye, and see you next time.